Sydney Sweeney had one chance to redeem and she blew it all off. Hi, I'm Maria Paula Bermeo, clinical psychologist, and on this channel we talk about various topics and we analyze them from a psychological point of view, so if you're interested, please keep on watching. Before starting this video, I want to remind you that I give in-person and online therapy, so if you need a consultation, please feel free to reach me out on my social media, my phone number, my email, all of them will be listed down below on the description box as well. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, it will help me out a lot, and also don't forget to leave your opinion on this specific topic in the comments down below. The intro was just sarcasm, by the way, but anyway, a few months ago we talked about a controversial American Eagle Sydney Sweeney jeans campaign that was tagged as racist, Yahtzee, a promotion of eugenics due to the phrase Sydney Sweeney has great genes, which certain niche took as jeans equals white genes equals anti every non-white race. If you want to watch that specific video, the link will be down below. In that one, we also talked about another similar ad and something Billie Eilish said at a concert that were considered problematic as well. Back then, I said the obvious. The hate was just unnecessary. Some took the advertisement as an attack because of their own prejudices, because of their own internal issues and insecurities, because of their own cognitive biases. They politicized an ad because of their dysfunctional mindset that generalizes everything as something political when it is not, etc, etc. So it was ridiculous to demand Sydney to apologize because she didn't do anything wrong, but rather people were projecting their lack of confidence on her. Sydney didn't apologize, by the way. She remained silent about the backlash, which actually has been the best choice she could have taken, because even if she had apologized, it would have been not enough for the haters. They would have continued to hate on her, probably increasing the insults, because in the end they just wanted to trash her for being a stereotypical beauty, and because she seems to have a different political opinion than them, something they cannot tolerate. She's a registered Republican voter allegedly, so she must be a Nazi in their eyes basically. Anyway, it would have been a waste of time and energy, but still critics were not happy with her silence. They wanted to force her to bend the knee, so much so that some individuals were tearing her ads down. They even showed up to a movie premiere to yell "You're a racist" to her.
Stop the ad! That is being racist!
She showed indifference, which enraged the leftists even more, because she wasn't giving them the attention they wanted, and it went that way until a couple of weeks ago when Sydney finally said something about that entire issue during an interview with GQ magazine, in which the journalist decided to give her the opportunity to say something. It didn't go the politically correct way though, which offended many as they didn't hear what they wanted to hear, so you bet the drama was reignited. But let's watch the specific clips from the interview that made rounds on social media, read some comments, analyze everything, and I will give you my 5 psychological cents on this thing again. Okay, so first I gotta give you some context of why Sydney was interviewed. She's on the cover of GQ's November issue, I believe, but they are also featuring people that have been influential and talked about a lot this year. It makes sense for Sweeney to be there. She's not only done advertisements, she's also been in movies as Echo Valley, Christie, the movie about boxer Christy Martin, The Housemaid, Reality. She has a role on the sequel of The Devil Wears Prada coming out next year. She has gone back to Euphoria to give life to Cassie. She's become a producer as well. She founded a production company with her ex-fiance. That's a different conversation though. Due to that, she has been heavily involved in the production of the movies she's been featured on. Plus, she's been a topic of conversation everywhere due to her work, her beauty, the people she's been linked to as friends or alleged partners. It's been a year for her.
You have become very swept up in politics. And so I wondered if that has surprised you as you put your ideas and yourself into art, not commentary.
I've always believed that I'm not here to tell people what to think. I'm just here to kind of open their eyes to different ideas. And so I think that's why I gravitate towards characters and stories that are complicated and are maybe morally questionable, and characters that are on the page hard to like, but then you find the humanity underneath them. And that's what I've always leaned towards.
I think a lot of people feel like it's better for art if artists can keep themselves a little bit separate from politics.
Yeah, I've never talked about my personal life.
I know.
Now, in this first clip we watched, they were talking about her roles as Cassie in Euphoria and Reality Winner in the movie Reality. Sydney said that she likes to give life to those problematic characters as it is a challenge, and because she wants to encourage viewers to see the emotional and kind side of them so they can do the same with the people around them in real life. Then the interviewer said, "I love your performances. Through those characters, you have definitely pushed the audience to look beyond someone's facade and see them through a human and empathetic lens, but you're a political figure now, so let's talk about that." That is honestly sus. I get a journalist's job is to get the juicy stuff to make people interested, but even to do that, there are ways to redirect the conversation. She did it out of nowhere when it didn't have anything to do with the topic they were discussing. How she embodies different characters so people can empathize with them. Where is the role of politics in that? If anything, I think it would have been a chance to talk about the mental and emotional load those characters have on Sydney, and how does she manage that to bring awareness about mental health, which is a very relevant topic to touch these days. But no, it must be political as everything is nowadays. As a psychologist, when people try to introduce random topics all of the sudden, as this interviewer did, that tells me that they just really want to talk about that. They need to talk about that. In other words, that woman was thirsty to talk about politics by referencing that specific American Eagle ad ever since she knew she was going to interview Sydney so she could get a statement about it and get viral. She was so desperate for it that she couldn't hold herself anymore, and she went for it as soon as possible. I mean, you guys, she made a question like 5 minutes into the interview. And then she says, "I don't think people want artists to be political." And Sydney's like, "Girl, I haven't talked about my politics. I just did a gin commercial." And this woman laughs uncomfortably and says, "I know." Then why are you asking her about it if you know she hasn't said anything about her personal beliefs? Sydney was talking about her career, and the interviewer introduced politics all of the sudden, already contradicting. It's like she wants to get the controversial info without looking too invasive, but in the way she gets desperate because it's not going the way she expected, and then she just acted without thinking. That happens when you lack of regulatory mechanisms, and that could be rooting on you being overly passionate or defensive about something as your own politics. However, that is already dysfunctional because that distorts your perspective severely. It makes you filter everything through a political lens, even when the topic in question has nothing to do with politics, as a gin ad. And that stops you from developing in other areas of your life, as the development of your critical thinking, of your emotional intelligence, your ability to analyze different things from different point of views, the opportunity to train your tolerance by listening to different opinions and expand your knowledge, grow your literal brain. You could be really missing out on those crucial things for your mental sanity just because you are focusing way too much in one specific thing. I did a gin ad. Oh, she's dumb for real. Zero critical thinking. She's the ultimate pick-me girl. I need to say it again. Critical thinking, emotional intelligence, tolerance would also be acknowledging not everything is about politics. It would be understanding that she may have her own political stance and she is allowed to show them or not. It would be comprehending that one campaign says little to nothing about how someone really is as a person, and also be Being aware that using terms as pick me randomly makes them lose its entire meaning and they end up being taken on seriously thanks to that reckless utilization of them. But when hate is sickly predominant, it blinds people so much that they forgot about all of those things and they start to contradict themselves every single time, weakening their entire message. She genuinely comes across as stupid in this interview. The good genes. And here's a picture of her playing reality winner in the movie Reality. You know when people are in the middle of a discussion and they realize they are losing and they don't have more logical arguments left, so they get desperate and that makes them resort to the fastest and most impulsive thing they have under their sleeves, insults. That's happening here. If these netizens had at least reasonable sounding arguments, they'd be heard by someone. But if you attack, that just creates more rejection to the message you are trying to convey. What I mean by that is that they won't make Sydney apologize nor convince other individuals about their opinion if they are still so hostile. That actually repels people and only exposes how immature and insufferable they can be. I did a Ginad, Shibao. I don't know what that means. This picture is from a Gap campaign featuring Cat's Eye. I don't have anything against them, just in case. This ad came out like right after the American Eagle ad, and it was politicized too, by the way. People were like,
OMG, Bravo Gap, they do embrace diversity, not like the other brand.
because the girls evidently are from different upbringings. I mean, I didn't see anyone hating on the ad because it is just that, an ad. But it's ironic that it is okay to feature any race but white. Why? What makes white people non-worthy of modeling for a brand? Isn't excluding the whites just as racist as excluding other races? This is an insane contradiction, which is an example of cognitive distortions that block you from having a solid, stable mentality. But let's keep watching.
We're sort of talking around this American Eagle ad right now, and maybe we should just talk about it. So, were you surprised by the reaction?
I did a Gene ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but it was, I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt like every day of my life.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome.
Yeah, I like your jeans.
You look great in your jeans. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. I mean, the president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and that just seems to me like a very crazy moment for anyone, and I wondered what that was like.
It was surreal.
It was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when you do anything, including a Ginad, no matter the context, there is a 50-50 chance of what the reactions will be. Receiving any of them will obviously result sort of surprising, because it is like, oh, okay, it's going that particular way. Especially when they start labeling you as everything pro-MAGA, anti-black, conservative queen, Yahtzee, even when you haven't talked about your own personal views, you know? I bet it was a moment of awe to see people talking about her as if they really knew Sydney personally. I do gotta say, Sydney most likely added the I love jeans phrase because she was paid good money for that ad and she has to promote her thing. I bring this up because people were commenting, she isn't even wearing jeans, she's so fake. Like, that's media training 101. If I were to promote this specific mic, I would be like, I love microphones, especially this one, to persuade people to buy mics. She's doing that with jeans because it's business, but it doesn't necessarily define her character. Haters are just saying that because they are bitter towards her and they feel the urge to overreach at everything she does to have an excuse to trash the woman. Next thing, the interviewer says, I know how you're gonna answer this, but I'll ask anyway. Psychologically speaking, there are two aspects about that I need need to point out. I know your answer. Number one, she is implying that she has a personal bias that has made her form a prejudice towards Sydney already, which means that she is not being objective. She is exposing her lack of professionalism in one single phrase, you guys, because journalists are supposed to be neutral. That's also a cognitive distortion called mind reading, in which someone thinks they know how others will think or act, and that can be a burden on the daily, as it could cause you to not want to listen to others, to be intolerant, reactive, close-minded. It could make you more anxious and insecure than you already are. It's a mentally ill behavior that keeps snowballing into more mental illness. Number two, telling someone I know what you're gonna say could be used as a manipulation tactic to force someone to change their words or actions to the ones they want to see being manifested. In this case, it could be like, we know you're a Republican, so use this chance to say something that goes against that, correct your actions to politically correct ones, and the journalist tries to appear friendly by laughing a bit to persuade Sydney, but she replied it was surreal, which I gotta say is very neutral. Having the head of a country talking about you must be crazy, no matter whose party the president belongs to. It's a president talking about you. Obviously, it's gonna be surprising, but viewers couldn't humanize Sweeney, not even for 1 minute. They couldn't grab their heads around her having a natural and neutral reaction. It still had to be a subliminal message for those that have a political mental filtering of things. It was surreal. Oh, that girl loves Trump. She definitely voted for Trump. Where is that energy when famous people as Mark Ruffalo, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Eminem, Gaga, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift talk explicitly about politics? If you're really going to point fingers, if you as this GQ interviewer believe celebrities should stay away from politics or whatever, then why are you only calling out an alleged white Republican woman and you put those that endorse the left on a pedestal? That doesn't scream love, inclusion, free speech, and democracy. That screams hypocrisy. That screams I'm only happy when people think the same exact way I do. Otherwise, I'll throw tantrums until they change their minds and say what I want them to say. Which is immature, intolerant, is obsessive. It exposes your excessive need of control, your narcissistic tendencies, and that is actually the concerning part. Just as this interviewer was doing, because she was pushing politics so damn hard throughout the interview as if her life depended on it.
It would be totally human. I would probably feel like thankful that somebody had my back in public, you know, and conveniently some very powerful people had my back in public. And I wondered if you felt that way.
I don't think that it's not that feeling I didn't have that feeling, but I wasn't thinking of it like that, or like of any of it. I kind of just put my phone away. I was filming every day. I'm filming Euphoria, so I'm working like 16-hour days, and I don't really bring my phone on set, so I work and then I go home and I go to sleep. So I didn't really see a lot of it.
You had some power behind your back that must have been so convenient to you. I was busy working on set. I didn't really give it that much attention. The interviewer, whose name is Catherine Stoffel, by the way, is really trying to dig deep to make Sydney say something cancelable. If I were you, I would have felt back. That's again a manipulation tactic to make her say, yes, I did. Catherine really wanted the drama drama, but I think Sydney got that and she was like, I'm not going to give you what you want, and she just said, I don't have time for that, I have to film. I think Sydney is very good at reading between the lines to answer in the most neutral way as possible, clear but with enough class to not fight, which is good in psychology textbooks as that's an example of emotional management, of discerning opinions and facing them in an assertive way. Could that be a skill developed through media training? Yeah, but it doesn't take its utility away.
You've made a really good case for keeping your thoughts and your life separate from that work. But the risk is that, you know, there's a chance that somebody will get some idea about what you think about certain issues and feel like, I don't want to see Christy because of that. Like, do you worry about that?
No.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
First, this woman Catherine is trying to guilt trip on Sydney by telling her, doesn't it concern you? People will boycott your movie Christy because of the things they think about you. It's like a thread of beg for forgiveness if you want your movie to be successful. Why? If she was truly neutral, she would have asked other stuff as, how do you think this upcoming movie will perform? Why? What would you like to tell people to encourage them to watch the movie? Is there something you can take out of it and apply it in your own life? Is there something the public can learn from the movie and apply to their lives? Not apologize to the people that have been affected by the interpretation they have given to your work. She wants to make Sydney assume the consequences of others' dysfunctional, selective mindsets, as if that was healthy. An entitlement for real? I want to give you the chance to say something because people think you're a white supremacist and you made a bad joke about white jeans in this political environment? That's so narcissistic. Who does Catherine thinks she is to give someone the opportunity to say something? This woman is giving main character energy, and not in a positive way, but public subway TikTok trend main character energy. That individualistic mindset and makes you think you're the center of the entire world, so you can tell everyone how to act or think, but it ends up being maladaptive ideas and behaviors that are annoying and disturbing for the rest of the world. The interviewer tried so hard to give her an opportunity to clear the air, and she just doesn't care. As I said in my previous video, jeans could have been about attractiveness in general, about Sydney's body that has been taken as a goal, about her being a sex symbol for the guys. If some immediately jumped into the conclusion that gray jeans equals whiteness and eugenics, who's implying that one race is inherently inferior? Who's implying that that inferior race is about to be erased? The ones getting mad, and that's actually discriminatory, not the phrase, but impulsive, irrational interpretation they gave it due to their own insecurities and biases. Then Sydney does not need to apologize, and even less, she doesn't need to be given the opportunity to redeem from something that she didn't even do. Guys, I think overall Sydney did a great job at handling the situation. You can see it in her body language, relaxed, making eye contact, in the tone of her voice. She knows how to regulate herself and her emotions to speak through assertiveness. Also, I think she's aware that the hate has come from an irrational perspective, so she's not giving it too much attention because, I repeat, it'd be a waste of time and energy to talk to deaf walls that won't debate but rather yell. For someone like Sydney to be able to have an actual debate with those critics, those people would have to solve their own internal issues beforehand so they can have a healthy mentality that will allow them to listen, discern, learn, have self-control, openness, and objectiveness. You could argue that the interviewer had all of those things. I disagree. If she wanted to have a nice, neutral conversation and discussion with Sydney about this whole jeans issue, she would have introduced the topic in other way, not in an okay, let's get political now way all of a sudden early into the interview when it was out of the context of her acting and producing career. She wouldn't have told her, powerful people have your back, I wish I had that too. I know what you're going to say about Trump praising you, making fun of whiteness in this political climate is wrong either. That's already an attack. That's a don't say anything because I already know. That's already condemning a person instead of leaving them an open door to express themselves, closing every chance of actually debating. It's like Catherine was already answering for Sydney before she could, and she wouldn't have acted so entitled and give Sydney the chance to give a statement about a commercial. That's a failed attempt to force someone to say the right thing for them, which only ends up exposing the cognitive dissonance, the over-the-top selective abstraction, the narcissistic, intolerant, squared mindset certain niche of our society has, which simultaneously explains why people like Sydney cannot take them seriously and have an extensive formal dialogue with them. And if the latter is something you really want, to try to persuade someone or to be able to understand each other, you won't get that if you don't solve your insecurities first. If you don't mature, if you don't train your critical thinking, if you don't learn emotional regulation skills to be able to open your mind, to see beyond what certain collectives tell you, and really educate yourself, learn, and have a healthy, reasonable mindset. Is there something you learned from this video or something that you would like to add to the conversation? Leave it on the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like and share with someone who may find this useful, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you never miss out on more interesting psychology content. Thanks for watching.